Well, a very good evening to you and welcome to this week's Wednesday Wellbeing Show. I'm Amanda Joy and tonight I'm going to be talking about self-care. Self-care, oh my God, how many times do we hear you must improve your self-care? Self-care is really important. Love yourself, nurture yourself. Yes, well, I'd like to know exactly how we do that in our lives, in our kind of world that we live in now. What is real self-care? Because, you know, I've got friends who are mums and for them self-care is 5 minutes extra in the shower without having to, like, I remember I've got a friend who's a mum who has the baby in the laundry basket while she's in the shower, so she can keep one eye and 1 foot on the laundry basket, rocking it while she's in the shower. I think for a lot of us, having an extra 5 minutes in the shower and a bit of peace by ourselves is self-care. Having a bubble bath is self-care, but it's not. Is it really self-care? Is it really enough to kind of help us manage through the world that we live in now, where we're in a constant state of fight or flight, when our bodies are being so challenged, and when stress is such a big killer? Is having a long bubble bath enough? Well, today I'm going to talk all about that, and I'm going to talk with an amazing therapist, Sarah Reddan. She is a transformational therapist, and she's a podcaster as well, so it's good to have a fellow talker on the show. She's the host of Conversations with Sarah, an absolutely gorgeous podcast where she brings beautiful snippets of great wellbeing advice as well, so do listen to that. It's awesome. She is a coach, but she's a therapeutic coach, and she loves to learn. She's one of those never-ending students, but she loves to share her knowledge with others. She's had years of experience, and she really does use what she's learned from her formal training and the discoveries that she's made from her own life experience, her own personal self-love, self-care journey. And now she actually really supports you, people out there, to find your own voice, a level of happiness in your life that you can maintain. She helps you to find that balance, and she really guides you on what self-care is, what is self-care and how it works, and how do I apply that to my life when I'm so busy rushing around looking after the kids, doing work, jumping on Zoom calls, crazy. Now, Sarah's also a qualified counsellor, and she's got a huge toolbox packed full with various healing modalities. She's on a mission to help you become happier and healthier and fitter. And she does this in a couple of different ways. She offers one-to-one therapeutic coaching, but she also offers group sessions as well. And I am absolutely delighted to have you on the show, Sarah. Welcome to the Wednesday Wellbeing Show.
Thank you. And what a wonderful, warm welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on.
It's lovely to have a fellow podcaster on, because I know that we're not going to be short conversation.
No, I love it. I love especially talking about the self-care, and I know with your practice, you understand where I'm coming from with this, so I'm really looking forward to.
Do you know, it's something interesting, because it's something I quite often have said to my clients. You know, I really think you need to focus on your self-care. I think you need to focus on your self-love. And I hear people saying self-care, love yourself, self-care, love yourself all the time. Everywhere I look on social media, there's all these lovely posts about the importance of self-care. But how the heck do we do that in reality? In reality, what is self-care, and how do we actually put it into action?
Brilliant question. And I think what is self-care, the answer to that is different for everybody. So like you say, it isn't bubble baths necessarily, but for some people that may be where they start. For me, like self-care, it's multidimensional. It is what goes on in your mind, it's what goes on with your body, it's nutrition, the way that we feed and fuel ourselves. It's spiritual practice. And often when I say spiritual practice, that's where I lose people, because they think, oh, it's a bit woo-woo. But that can be anything. It doesn't mean sort of it has to be tarot cards. For me, meditation is a spiritual practice. It's kind of really connecting in with the things that soothe your soul. So looking at the sea, being in nature, for me, they're spiritual practices. So it's that multi-dimensional space that we occupy, where actually we're just being as opposed to doing. For me, that's that part of that self-care. And the other thing is that kindness to ourselves. That's something in my experience many people are missing. We can be kind to other people, but kindness to ourselves is very difficult. And that
when the cue, don't you, when it comes to what we need in life, we tend to be last.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not even just our priorities, it's the self-talk, it's the way we criticize ourselves for the things that we do, for the things that we don't do. Boundaries, if we know that we've got boundaries, not necessarily reinforcing those boundaries or being able to communicate them, and priorities, the way in which we spend our time, the things that we do, often what we want to be doing. So we have to-do lists. I suggest having a want-to-do list. So not just necessarily the things that you have to do, but the things, again, that soothe your soul. And I recognise that when you have a really busy life, that can sound like, well, exactly where am I supposed to schedule this in? So I recognise it can seem really difficult before you start, when you know, at that space where you don't know what to do, you don't know where to start.
I love what you said at the very beginning. What you said was that it's about the food and nutrition that we have. It's about what you put in your body, and I guess about what you put in your mind as well. But it's about fueling your body with the right things. And I wanted to really start on this point because I think eating well is a real challenge. And, you know, especially if you're busy, you tend to go, if you've got limited time, you tend to go for something you can grab fast, which isn't going to be usually a healthy option. It's something that is going to give you quick satisfaction. It's going to give you the hit of what it is that you need if you're hungry or if you're wanting something. It's not necessarily going to be all that nourishing to your body if it's kind of highly stimulating, maybe full of sugar or fats or really high in carbohydrates. I don't know. It's interesting, isn't it? I think that's where we start with am I actually just eating? Am I eating well? Am I having breakfast? Am I having healthy snacks? Am I having what's my relationship with food like?
Exactly.
And I know that you have an amazing weight reduction coaching program that really deals with this relationship with food. Tell us a little bit, firstly, about what you mean by having a healthy and a good relationship with food.
So my Reframe Your Relationship with Food course is I've started it because my clients were coming to me and asking me about weight loss. Now for me, the goal isn't weight loss, even though that's what you're going to achieve. That's not the goal. It's about that body positivity, that food neutrality. So it's recognizing that actually food is neither good nor bad. It's fuel. It's something that we use to fuel our body, and becoming connected with how we feel almost at a cellular level as opposed to an emotional level when we eat that food. Does that food fuel us to do the things that we want to do? Does that food fuel our mental health in a positive way? So that's one aspect of it. And it's like I say, reframing the relationship with the food. So it's knowing if you're an emotional eater. Do you eat your food? Do you choose the foods that you choose driven by emotion? What is it that you are trying to avoid dealing with? So it's really about getting underneath the reason you make the choices that you make, and equipping you with the skills to unconsciously make better choices. So it's part education, it's part reframing what goes on in your thought process. Really, for me, it's that knowledge and that education is sort of a pivotal, a foundational part of it all. Sort of actually, rather than me saying to you, do X, Y, and Z, you're going to lose weight. It's a journey of self-discovery where you recognize, I do this. Okay, so when I do this, I'm not going to criticize myself for the fact that I've done this before, because I may not have even noticed that I did it. I'm going to use this tool to move forward through making better choices for me. And that doesn't mean we're going to cut every single food out that you like. because for me, that isn't what it's about. You may recognise that certain
restriction brings about rebellion.
Exactly.
Somebody tells me I can't have something, I want it more.
I am exactly the same. Even if I've told me I'm not going to have it, I will rebel. And that's the thing, is we become fixated. If we're told we can't have a certain food, that is all we think about. With this program, the aim is that you get to a point where it's intuitive. You aren't waking up in the morning and thinking, what foods can I eat today? How many calories do I need to count? What am I going to weigh on the scales? We kind of throw all of that out of the window, and it very much is bringing it into a self-care practice where you recognize, oh, I'm hungry. What's going to nourish my soul? Whether that is a banana or a chocolate bar is absolutely okay. We're not going to eat with guilt, because let's face it, for most of us who have been on a weight loss journey, that guilt only makes us eat more. It doesn't help us in any way at all, in my opinion.
Who made us guilty? That's what I want to know. Who made us feel guilty about enjoying food? I have to say though, I totally get the whole emotional thing. I mean, I've cried into a box of Thorntons once or twice in my life, and you know, I've just kind of had a rough day, and I'm feeling emotional, and I'm feeling like, you know, things are difficult. So I'm going to eat pizza for tea, and I'm going to stuff my face with chocolates because it makes me feel better. I totally get that. We need to reframe. What's about when you're tired? Because I know that you deal with really busy people. That's kind of your thing. Because you recognise that it's really difficult for busy people to get to see a therapist. It's really busy. It's difficult for busy people, busy mums, busy dads, busy people, busy parents, busy workers, to actually attend sessions with coaches and nutritionalists. And I know that you deal with busy people, but you must see a lot of tired people. What about tired people when they get to the end of the day and they're knackered and they're thinking, oh right, I could prepare a meal now, or I could just sit and eat a packet of biscuits. Tired.
Well, it's a bit about, it's that preparation, isn't it? So it's knowing I've got chronic health conditions, so I completely identify with the being too tired thing. And it's recognizing that small bits of preparation can make a massive difference. So if you are capable of doing batch cooking, is one of the amazing tools to use. Quick, easy choice of healthy choices of food, so it's things that you know that are going to bring you that nutrition in that moment, and a lot of it is recognizing, so don't eat to a time. I know people, you know, that 12 o'clock is lunchtime, and if 12 o'clock is your lunch break, I get that it has to be like that, but it's recognizing that hunger and knowing when you're hungry and not letting yourself get too hungry, because quite often tired comes with caffeinating too much, eating too much sugar, not moving enough. Sleep quality is impacted by the choices that we are making. So if you can make choices that are more nourishing to your body, then you're going to get better quality of sleep. And I can say all this because I've done it all. Like I've been there, and I know how much of an impact it has. And it's still a journey for me. So it's not even that I put myself in a position where it's like I have all the answers, and I do all of the things right all of the time. I'm absolutely alongside my clients with this journey of
I love that.
Making better choices for me, recognizing that there's some foods that do trigger my symptoms, and whilst I might enjoy eating them in the moment, I have to make a choice about whether I'm prepared to pay the price of that. And that for me is the key thing. It's choice. We have choices, and it's whether it brings us towards our goal or away from our goal. So when you're tired, it may be that you can look back and be like, oh yeah, okay, the choices that I made today, not in my best interest, and just learn from that and move forward with the next day, and putting those things into place that are going to nourish and support you, again, rather than criticizing yourself and maybe not making that best choice. It's reflection and reframing and moving forward with it.
I love that. It's such a compassionate way of being as well. It's like, do you know what? I didn't do what I would have I didn't choose well today, but that's okay, because there's tomorrow. I'm gonna learn from that. I'm gonna reflect on it. I'm gonna make that part of my understanding about who I am, and I'm gonna move forward and make better choices maybe tomorrow. I love that compassion and the empowerment of choice that your program brings, and really dealing with the emotional aspect of food and the relationship that we have. I quite often think about food as sometimes it can be like a bit like a bad boyfriend. You know it's bad, but you want it. Yeah. And it's getting that relationship with your body right, and I love that your program really addresses that. But you spoke a little bit about body positivity. Tell me a little bit about, what do you mean by body positivity?
So for me, it's loving your body exactly as it is, whatever shape, whatever size it is. So it's not about looking in the mirror and going, oh, I wish that this was thinner, this stood up further. You know, I'm in my 40s, I've had children, my body shape has changed because of that. For me, body positivity, it is that, like I said, just loving who you are as you are in this moment. And that doesn't mean that you can't want to be more muscular or be able to do different movement or be able to wear some different clothing, but it comes back to that kindness and compassion to yourself, that you can love who you are exactly as you are. So for me, that's what body positivity is. I occupy a body with fat. That is a fact. That isn't a criticism of myself. That's what I mean. That I can look in the mirror and be like, yeah, do you know what? I love my little wobbly belly. That's okay. It's okay that it's there. And it may be that some days I don't feel that great, but that's okay as well. So it's that kind of...
You know what I struggle with? Because body positivity is something that's spoken about a lot. I don't feel that there are any images anywhere, in magazines, on social media, on any forums, that actually represent me. There's no images that represent me. There's nobody on any magazine, even the kind of plus size models, even the images that are supposed to be body positive. I don't believe they represent me.
I absolutely understand where you're coming from, because I think it is one of those things that marketers have jumped on, that kind of body positivity. I don't look at magazines. That's one of the things I talk about in the course. Throwing away these toxic images. If you're following someone on social media as inspiration, and that makes you feel rubbish about who you are, throw it in the bin. You don't need to do that. On Instagram, on TikTok, in the spaces that I occupy, I follow body positive spaces with women of all different body shapes and sizes. I follow, and I wish I'd written her name down. There's a yoga instructor who is a bigger woman, and the things that she can do.
I have a really good friend who stopped teaching yoga because she didn't feel that she could fit in to this kind of lycra clad skinny yoga, stand on your head, do the splits in the air, kind of amazing images that we see everywhere that are associated with yoga. And as a bigger woman, I'm on a really incredible health journey myself, like similar to you. But as a bigger woman, I felt hugely intimidated, even considering going to a yoga class. What am I going to wear? How can I cover all my wobbly bits? How can I hide behind black leggings and a black top that's all floaty so I can hide underneath it? Because I'm going to go and contort my body in weird positions. How am I going to hide my fat bits then?
And that's the thing. It's about not hiding the fat bits. It's about saying, like, they're there. I've got them. Yeah. Like, if you're offended by looking at them, don't look at me. Get over it. Like, leave me be to live my life in my own space. And I completely recognise that is not as easy as I'm saying that it is.
The reality is the only difficulty I have in my yoga class is not breaking wind, especially during quiet sessions.
And there is some amazing influencers, if you want to call them that, content creators of true plus size women who are incredibly fit, they're incredibly
healthy.
healthy.
I think we have to really search for those women though, you know. I think we've we culturally and generally speaking, we've actually forgotten what a regular body looks like.
Completely. I saw.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say there's people out there who are struggling, and I know that I've struggled, you know, coming to terms with what my body looks like. We can't help but compare and contrast. How am I supposed to look in the mirror and tell myself I love myself? And, you know, I love all my wobbly bits, which I do, and I'm able to do that. And I've got a really positive relationship with my reflection in the mirror. But how do we get to that point when there's no representation, there's no images of what's normal? I get absolutely fed up. I feel like we're almost being kept in the dark, really, when it comes to what real human beings look like. I'll give you an example, like I'm probably going to get into trouble for saying this, but the Dove adverts, right?
Yes.
The Dove adverts are supposed to, and other soap products as well, they're supposed to be good at marketing, but they're supposed to be good at making women feel like they're included. Every single image that I've ever seen on a Dove advert just makes women feel like shit, because you might see a woman in a wheelchair on their adverts, you might see wheelchair users, you might see a woman with slightly browner skin, but every single woman on those adverts has got a flat stomach. I don't know any woman who's got a flat stomach. Why are we insisting that women should have flat stomachs when actually what we want is gorgeous, voluptuous, big, beautiful bellies?
Yeah, and I think it's like we come in all shapes and sizes. We do, I completely agree with you. We do need to see more representation of what real bodies look like. We need to see our slim ladies looking how they look, one boob bigger than the other. We need to see our hips. We need, I mean, I've been hearing about this. Hip dips is a thing now. I don't even know what that is. When I was something apparently we're supposed to be insecure about. I refuse to accept these things.
From thigh gaps.
Yeah, I refuse to accept these things into my space. So I don't watch TV adverts. I don't buy magazines. The people that I follow on social media, I follow because of who they are as human beings. They make me laugh. I've started following far more people that look like me, and I'm completely alongside you with, I struggled with bringing out this program because I am not a size 8 person, you know. I am like I've said, I am a woman with fat on my body. I previously used to coach one-to-one doing weight loss, and I stopped doing it for quite a long time because I felt, how can I talk about this because I'm not following my own advice? And what I've realized is I don't want to follow that advice. And you know, if people want to lose weight, then a side effect of this program is you are going to make healthier choices. If you've got weight to lose, you will lose that weight. But secretly, really, what I want is for the people going through this course, the women going through this course, to be able to be okay with who they are, however they are. Because we go through menopause, we go through all these hormonal changes, we go through having children, we go through, for me, having chronic health, which affected my ability to exercise in the way that I was used to exercising. It affected my mobility, it changed my body. I want women to come through this empowered and enabled to make good choices for themselves, healthy choices for themselves, the right choices for themselves, to recognise some of the programming that they've picked up along the way from society, from being told to empty their plate before they eat dessert, being told that this isn't good, that isn't good, all the other things aren't good, and actually be able to go, no, this is what works for me. And to be able to look, like I say, look in the mirror and love who you are. And that starts small, one small tiny thing. Look at your toe, love your toe. Look at your eye, love your eyes. Look at that eyebrow, you know, that one eyebrow that always goes perfect. It's small little steps. Because breaking yourself down was small little steps. You didn't look in the mirror one day and go, I hate who I am. You fixated on one part of your body and you criticise until you didn't like that anymore. And I'm just not about that. I'm not about that happening anymore. I don't see why we should be bowing to this societal expectation of we have to shave under our arms. No, we don't. If we don't want to, we can have hair there. It's not disgusting for a man to have hair under their arms, so it's not disgusting for a woman to have hair under her arms. It's hair. Dad bods. Dad bods are like, oh yeah, we love a dad bod, but if you know, God forbid a woman has a bit of fat on her body, somehow she's less desirable. Maybe we don't need to be desirable for you. We're sexy in our own way. We don't need your gaze to tell us. I'm on one. We don't need somebody else to tell us that we are beautiful. We are beautiful exactly as we are. And I just like that's a journey that I'm on, and I just kind of want to drag everyone else along. I'm
coming on that journey with you. I love how passionately you talk about this, because it is so important, isn't it? And I think this is where your teaching and what you bring to the self-love and self-care stuff that you do is so valuable, because everything that you've just said is all going on within your coaching package and within your sort of weight reduction package that you're providing for people. But it really it leads in, doesn't it, to the work that you do with people around self-love and self-care, because I think you've got to recognize your inner your beauty. And it isn't that you've got a flat belly and you've got flawless skin and you've got the right hair and that you're doing all the right things and that your house is spotlessly tidy and you've got the best job and all the best things around you. That's all just superficial bullshit, isn't it?
It's stuff.
It's just
it's not the important things.
So let's talk a bit about self-care, because this is really, I can feel your fire and your passion when it comes to how do we, when we're living in a very busy world that has all of these things that are being imposed on us, these ideas, these cultural ideas, these social pressures as well imposed on us, how do we increase our self-care? And what is it?
So I guess the first word that I come with is priorities. It's starting to unpick what your priorities are. As you said, there's all these kind of societal expectations. We go to school, we go to college, maybe we go to university, we get the job, we have kids, we get married, we buy a house, we do this, we do the job, we get money, As women, as caregivers, as nurturers, as all of these things, we very quickly lose touch with the stuff that is important to us. So for me, one of the starting points is its priorities. So there is quite often a disconnect from all of the things that you do and all of the things that you want to do. And again, I recognise there's stuff you have to do. We have to have jobs, we have to pay our bills, we have to do this stuff. But I do go quite big in that if you are doing a job that completely destroys your soul, maybe look at what and how you can change that. Because what you spend a majority of your time doing destroys who you are as a human being, why are you doing that? What's your motivation for that?
Just thinking about me is selfish.
And that's it. Self-care isn't selfish. And I think especially for women with children, one of the things that I will say is you are modelling to your children what it is to be an adult.
Wow.
So do you want your children, especially your girls, to grow up and think servitude is what it's all about? Putting everybody before you is what it's all about. Because most of us don't want that for our children. Yes, we want them to be well-rounded human beings who care about other people, have empathy and understanding. But do we want our children to grow up and put everybody else's needs before them? Usually it's a no. So why do we do it?
So I think it's about, so what you were sort of saying initially is that get your priorities right. But I think in terms of priorities, you need to make sure that you're at the front of the queue, that you're getting taken care of first. Because you're not good to know on if you're exhausted, tired, run down, stressed out, grieving.
No, and that's why they tell you on an aeroplane, you put your oxygen mask on first, because you can't help somebody else if you're not helping yourself. And it's you're doing yourself a disservice. And the people that you love and that you support and that you spend time with, if you are doing that out of duty as opposed to full engagement, no one wins with that. For me, it's about making it a win-win situation, saying yes to the things that you want to say yes to. There's power in no. It's like, no is an okay word to use, and it is a complete sentence in my world. And I recognize it's hard, and it's been hard for me. It's not something I've always been able to do. It has been a journey, and it's that stripping off of the why you do the things that you do, and really kind of understanding why you say yes all the time. So then you can kind of work out why you don't, where you want to use your no's. So then when you actually are saying yes to doing something, whether that be helping somebody, going to a party, going on a journey, whatever that is, it's coming from your heart. It's coming from a place of enjoyment. It's coming from a place of, I'm okay with this. And that doesn't mean you never do anything for anyone, but the things that you do for people, you're doing from a place of love, as opposed from a place of resentment.
Yeah.
Because that place of resentment, it slowly chips away at who you are. Yeah. And it slowly chips away at relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. What I'm hearing you say really is that you put your purpose, your why, above your duty, so like, why am I here? I'm here to be a mum. I'm here to provide my kids with a safe, beautiful place to grow up. That's my purpose. I'm connected with that. I feel great joy when I carry that out. And if you're in a job that you love, because I know that you're very much connected to your purpose, and for you, your job is no duty at all. It's an absolute joy, isn't it?
It's my life, my whole life. Yeah. It's about self-care, nurturing my own self-care. It made absolute sense that the more I talk to my clients about these things, the more I tap into what it means for me to look after me. There is a selfish element to the work that I do, because it helps me.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between self-love, self-care, self-seeking, and selfish. Self-centeredness. They're all kind of the negative side, but the self-love, self-care, self-worth, self-value, I think is what we're really talking about. And really tuning into your purpose. Am I actually following that, or am I just doing this because I need to pay the bills? Am I just doing this because it feels like it's a duty? Because resentments are dangerous, aren't they? And
it's a poison. It poisons you, and it poisons everyone around you.
You are one of these people. You what you see is what you get. What is stated on the tin is what's in the tin. And I love how you are so connected to your divine calling, your purpose, your why, if you like. The work that you do is beautiful. Would you mind telling us a little bit about your kind of background and your journey to become this incredibly multi-talented therapist that you are?
Yes. Oh, now that's a big question. So let me try and... So I'll start this with, I am a complete nerd. I love to learn, but also a lot of the things that I've learned because it's what I needed. It's what I needed within my own life. So I've been on that journey. I've been in that space of putting myself last. I've been in that space of doing things out of resentment. I've been on that journey. There was a time in my life that I needed counselling. I couldn't get counselling because I wasn't depressed. I couldn't afford to go private, and the NHS didn't deem that it was something I needed. And that was a shock to me. That was a real shock to me that I went through, a life-changing experience, but I couldn't get help because I presented saying, I think I might need some support to deal with this emotionally. And that kind of triggered to me that this wasn't okay. And for me, I recognize one of my things, if I notice something's not okay in the world, I need to do something to change it. So at that point, I was a beauty therapist, and my clients would talk to me about everything. I I learned to do Reiki. I was learning to do Reiki. I was one of these people, even when I worked in the supermarket, I would have regular customers come and speak to me weekly, come and talk to me about their life. So I think, even from a young age, it was a calling that I was going to be in the helping field. So I was doing my beauty, I was doing my energy healing. I was not very emotionally mature. I would not cry. No one saw me cry. And I started to kind of hear about these therapies, as you do when you're going through something. You start to look around. You're going back 20 years at this point. So Google wasn't. I don't know if Google was a thing then. And I started to look around at therapies, and I started to learn stuff. So I went and I learned to be a counsellor. I did my years of training. So I'm qualified, and person-centered is my core training. So I'm a level 4 therapeutic counsellor is my training. I've worked, so I was a very, very busy person. While I was doing my level 4, I also was training at another establishment, going from Devon to Doncaster one weekend a month to do training, doing 2 placements, working a job, having my children, having a house, volunteering all over the place. Like, I've been there.
Yeah.
So I was doing couples counselling, I was doing young people counselling, I was working as a youth worker, doing my MVQ in advice and guidance. Every year almost I would learn something new. Then I had a period of time where I burnt out completely. I was in a very, very stressful relationship that ended quite messily, and again I recognised I needed support with that. And then I realised there's other people out there that need support with these things. So I go and I do some formal training, because that for me is how I help me. I connect with therapists that help me in the time that I need it, and then I educate myself so that I understand the thing that I've experienced, and I understand how to not experience it again, or to navigate it in a healthier way should I come across it again. So yeah, I do have, this last year I've been doing EFT training. I've done my meditation training. So for me, like, meditation, I felt really stupid when I meditated. The way that I did it wasn't the way that I saw other people. Like, you know what I mean? In media and stuff, and when you watch like these nice little videos of people sitting on a mountainside with their hand positions and arm in, and it's like that's not it for me. That's not quite it. And I thought, I can't be the only person that feels this way. And so I went and learned how to do meditation the traditional ways, and to be a meditation teacher. And then I kind of do it my own little way. And I create the meditation, the guided meditations for other people that are like me, that think, I just want 5 minutes where I can sit and center in on who I am, and do it kind of my way. For me, the whole thing is, everything of self-care is like, do it your own way. So yeah, I do have formal training, and a lot of it is because of the nonsense that I've dealt with in my own life. I've gone, okay, yeah, this isn't okay. I don't like this. I need to learn some stuff about myself. The way that I like to do that is in a formal way, and then I can apply it, I can reflect, I can apply it, and then I can help other people. And I think there's something really powerful, and you probably experienced this yourself, in the helping profession. When you've healed from something, the insight that you have, even if you never ever disclose that to the client that you're working with, it brings something beautiful into that therapeutic space, because you just have another dimension of understanding. And it's never going to be exactly the same for the client that you're working with. What their experience is not going to be the same as your experience, but there's something in that knowing. I don't know, do you agree, or is that something you feel different about?
I totally agree. I think as a therapist, you need to make sure that you're not working from an injury, from a pain point, or from a cut or a tear. I think many therapists are quite scarred, and having that scar, you can still remember. And I do think, I believe in the entrainment principle, so I believe that we all vibrate a particular frequency, and you draw to you people who are similar to you. We all resonate with something. So I'm going to draw to me people who've been through very similar experiences to me. People are going to feel comfortable with me because I've experienced that, and because I've healed that area of my life. I think going from scar to a more flexible space where you can be really authentic and talk about what you've experienced and how you've healed is kind of another level. And that's, I think, when a lot of us struggle as therapists, don't we, to kind of go, I had this pain in my life, and I was going to say, well, I was a bit broken, but I actually don't believe that any of us are broken.
I completely agree with that.
We're a sum of the experiences that we've had, and sometimes our experiences really do alter our perceptions, but sometimes when we've healed that, we can still reflect on where we were, and that can quite often give us a real insight into what our clients are experiencing. I totally get that whole therapeutic relationship that goes on.
And it's almost a ripple, isn't it? It's that memory of where you were. So you don't feel the pain anymore, but it's almost like reading your own diary. You know it's there. You know it was there, but you also know what you did to heal. And if just not necessarily sharing your story, but sharing your techniques, sharing the things that helped you move through, I think there's something really powerful in that.
I think what I'm seeing in you is absolute resilience and strength. And I think that's what you bring to your clients as well. You guide them to tune in and connect with their own power and see, be resilient, because I think true resilience is about taking what you've learned, and we learn from our mistakes as well. It can be quite a painful process, learning, but we take what we've learned, we apply it to our lives. We look at how we want to change as a result of that learning, and then we transform and we move forward. And I see all of the work that you're doing and helping people with just being really powerfully transformational. Can I ask you to tell me a little bit more about therapeutic coaching? Because I know that's kind of what you call what you do, but I mean, you encompass so many different things: hypnotherapy, energy work, emotional freedom technique, meditation as well. But therapeutic coaching is kind of the big heading that you've given the work that you do.
It is. And it took me a while to land on that. What is it? Sometimes I ask myself the same question. What is it? And for me, counselling wasn't the right thing, because it's not counselling. Coaching, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with the term coaching, and it's not quite that. So for me, that sort of therapeutic coaching, it is that space to connect with emotions. It's about raising the awareness and then looking at the techniques to not just help manage symptoms, but get into the change. And it, for me, means I can bring any of the things that I've learned into that space, providing that my client is happy with it. It's very much boundaried, it's very much contracted about, but it is bringing in, like I said, the EFT, the meditation, the energy healing, even if a client requests it. All of those things I'm working, for me, that's as person-centered as I can get, without it it's not just about sitting in that space of talking about the past and the feelings, but that's okay. If we need to do that, that's okay. And traditionally coaching, you don't do that. We are going to look at action planning, we are going to look at goal setting, we are going to look at, I will share techniques, I will pick you up on your excuses, I will ever so kindly give you a kick up the backside if you say you want to do something and you're not. But it's not about criticism, it's not about that sort of thing. It is about, I'm recognizing, as you perhaps do, this, you're saying you want to do this thing, but we're putting things in place and this thing isn't happening. As a counsellor, with my counselling training, that is not something that I would ever do as a counsellor. So for me, therapeutic coaching kind of encompassed everything that it means to me to be a therapist and the way that I wanted to work, and being able to clearly communicate that with my clients, that it's this kind of pick and mix bag of all of these things that I've learned that I can bring into the therapeutic space if you identify that that is going to be useful for you. Because it isn't about what I want to do in that space, it's about what the client wants to do and how they want to do it. I'm offering tools to facilitate that space.
I love it. So we've really spoken about the fuel and how we see food as fuel, and it's fueling our bodies so that we can really take care of ourselves that way. We've spoken about how with your different programs and with the coaching, with you can kind of enable people to have that awakening, if you like, to what is a priority for them, so they can be kind to themselves, make sure that they're living in a way that kind of resonates with their purpose, as opposed to just kind of dragging themselves through the day, not really enjoying what they're doing, and how you bring all of these amazing tools and skills together in your coaching packages so that you can really guide people and support people in a really holistic and beautiful way. I will make sure that on the podcast I put all your links and connections so people can get in touch with you, because I'm sure there's lots of people who are going to want to work with you. And we've really talked about self-care and how important it is, and how it isn't just a bubble bath. So we've talked about the fuel, we've talked about the boundaries, we've talked about different ways to connect with your purpose. I want to talk about the thing that you said earlier about soothing yourself, soothing your soul, I think was what you said. And I know that you're a huge fan of breath work and using the breath to bring a sense of calm. Whenever I think of breath work, I think of soothing. It's like a soothing balm, isn't it, when you can breathe well. Tell us a little bit about using the breath to bring calm.
Yeah, so for me it's very much sort of being in the now moment that just connects. It's not even necessarily about changing the breath, it's just connecting to that breath. And I know it's something that I started doing in times of stress without really knowing what I was doing. And it's advice that I used to give to one of my children, which would often be met with, I am breathing. So it is that real conscious breathing. So it's taking that moment and really connecting with the breath and bringing your awareness to the breath as it's coming into the body and as it's going out of the body. And the more you do it, for me, the more I do it, the more I'll notice my shoulders are up too high, and I'll just drop the shoulders down. And then I'll maybe notice as I'm talking to you that I'm holding my legs really tense, and I'll just move my legs. And
all right, you're gonna just talk me through this, because I love this idea of conscious connection with the breath. And people say, like, focus on the breath. Can you just talk us through very quickly, just a few minutes?
I will use one of my little exercises.
Oh yeah, please do.
I will do one of my exercises.
Let's do a little exercise on how we can use our breath to bring about calm.
So obviously people can't see us, but they can do this along. So for me, I like to put my hands on my chest, just in the middle of my chest, nice comfortable space. And just immediately as I do that, I will draw in a deep breath, because now that has become a trigger for me to notice my breath. And it is really just thinking and noticing that breath as it comes into your body, wherever that comes into the body. So for me, I naturally breathe in through the nose, you may breathe in through the mouth. And it is just noticing that breath as it comes into the body. And not just the way it feels on the nostrils or the way that it feels on the lips, but as it goes down into the body, you may feel your chest rise under your hands. And as you do that, you can then start to notice and pull it through down into the stomach. And then as it comes out, it's really consciously bringing your mind to, those thoughts will come into your head. You just let them go, like little clouds. You just let them go from your mind, and it is just drawing that breath in. One of the exercises that I like to do is thinking about sort of the brain waves. So the brain's got waves, the heart's got waves, and you can bring it into sync. So as you breathe in, you imagine, because we can't do this in reality, but you imagine drawing the breath into the heart. And as you draw that breath into the heart, you start to connect with that love there. And then just breathing it out. So it sounds really simple, but as you do it, I automatically do it now. When I feel like a stress, I will put my hand to my chest and I will just breathe in. And I pull it all the way down into my stomach now. It's become habit. And I just breathe out in 3 breaths, and I can be calm in the moment and present with even, you'll hear now, my voice has slowed right down.
No, I love
and
it.
I'm feeling really calm.
Yes.
And I realise, and I do recognise that when you're feeling stressed, that can seem like ridiculous. It can seem like a lot to do. But just if connecting to that breath when you're feeling calm will reinforce when you're feeling stressed or you're feeling anxious, you're feeling like out of control, it really helps you connect in. I hope that explains it.
Yeah, I love it. So it's like just following the path of the breath as it goes in, either through the nose, the mouth, how do you get that feeling of expansion in the lungs, and then like letting go of the breath and just following like the route it takes.
Yeah, just sort of bringing that attention.
Feels,
just really noticing how it feels in your body. Maybe it feels cold, maybe it feels warm, maybe there's a smell, maybe that you like or don't like. It is that real kind of in the moment stuff, and I think that's so grounding, especially if you're somebody that suffers with anxiety symptoms or any kind of dissociation, sort of just really being able to bring that attention. And you can do it without people noticing. It doesn't have to be a big movement. It doesn't have to be
sitting
dramatic.
on the top of a mountain in some kind of amazing yoga pose. It can just be, it can just while you're boiling the kettle, or
absolutely
sitting at your desk or whatever. Just 3 breaths, just following that path of the breath, and just connecting with how you feel physically, emotionally, and just allowing yourself a moment.
And it's that reset. It's really useful. I've been using it as I move from activity to activity, because it calms the nervous system. It just brings that body into that state of kind of calmness and connection. So if I'm having a busy day, I was doing it before I came to speak to you, just connected in with that breath, because it calmed my nervous system down. I will do it again when we finish, because it will just calm my nervous system down again, and just bring it into connection. And it's a really simple thing to do, and I know when I first started doing it, I thought, how is this even going to help? Like, really, I breathe all of the time. But it does. It's so powerful. It's so powerful to reset. And I think that for a lot of us who have very busy lives, that is a beautiful way to start, because we all breathe. So just consciously breathing is a great place to start, because you're not really doing anything extra, really.
I love it. And it kind of, it brings me to my next question, which is about your spiritual practices, because one of the things that you were talking about at the beginning is fueling your body with the right things, fueling your mind with the right things, soothing yourself, self-love, get your boundaries in place, prioritize things, really connect with your purpose. We've all got a to-do list, but you want a want to-do list. I love that. What's your want to-do list? But there are certain spiritual practices that have hugely helped, and you were talking about meditation, and of course on the back of that experience that you had and all the benefits that you receive from meditation, you actually have a meditation group membership. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I've got an online subscription library. It's a membership, and there's guided meditations in there. Some of them are me just talking, some of them are with music backgrounds. There's 5-minute meditations, there's 20-minute meditations. So very much, and I listen to my own meditations because what I was finding that there was a lot of it just wasn't the pace that I needed it to be sometimes, and it wasn't. I don't know how to word it exactly. I'm a woo person. I am a woo person, but sometimes it was a bit too out there even for me. So I really wanted to create meditations that people who have never meditated before could connect with. There's a 5-minute standing meditation that you can do in the supermarket queue. So it is that. It's really sort of trying to make it as accessible as possible, to break down some of the stigmas and some of the ideas that we have, like demystifies it. And it's just an online membership that you can access anytime you want, and you can do the meditation that works best for you.
I love it. I love it. Sarah, it's been amazing having you on. Before you go, how do people find your Conversations with Sarah podcast?
So Conversations with Sarah podcast is on YouTube. We're on Spotify. You can even now ask Alexa to play Conversations with Sarah. I discovered this week. You can find everything on my website, which is srtt.co.uk. And there's links there to everything. You can also find the podcast on most social media platforms at SRTT podcast.
Amazing. Totally recommend that you listen to Sarah's podcast. She's got some awesome guests. There's some amazing information and advice on those podcasts. And if you do have issues with your weight, if you're not in love with your body, if you're not comfortable in your own skin, do reach out and get in touch with Sarah, because her weight management program is beautiful. And if you've never had a go at meditation before, Sarah's meditation groups are just to get you going. I remember my first experience of meditation, I was embracing silent meditation, and I was hungry and all I could think about was fish and chips. So I literally
and that's quite hard to start with, isn't it? Silent meditation. Yeah,
I threw myself in the deep end, Sarah, but you do that with everything. And if you are thinking about how do I improve my self-care, then Sarah's website's got definitely a great place to start. Sorry, so you were going to say.
No, I was just going to say, even on my YouTube, I've got, I periodically put meditations on there as well for people just to connect in. Because I think it's really important to, that my meditation voice is slightly different to my talking on a podcast voice. I think it's, it's really important that the voice that you're listening to resonates, and the pace resonates, because that was the frustration that I found, that couldn't quite find somebody who talked at the right level for me. I'm quite sensory, and there was bits that were annoying, and I know it's quite unusual for people to be okay listening to their own voice, but like my meditation voice for me works for me. So I want the people that listen to me that it connects. There's loads of meditations out there, and it really is finding the right person. So I like to put stuff on my YouTube so that people can listen and know before they connect to the membership that it's the way I speak isn't going to be too irritating, and it's going to help them come into a space of calm.
I love it. I love it. You are amazing. It's been absolutely gorgeous talking with you. I could talk with you about meditation and self-love and self-care and valuing yourself. I could talk for another hour with you about this, because your passion is just incredible, and I've loved this conversation. It's been absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast. Thank you for coming on and being a guest instead of a host.
I've loved it. This is actually my first guest on another podcast. So
you're amazing.
It's been a brilliant experience. Thank you so much.
Maybe come back in the future.
I'd love to. Thank you. And I am going to have you on as my guest.
Oh, I shall look forward to it. And it just leaves me to wish you, wherever you are in the world, I wish that you do get in touch with Sarah, or I wish that you do, my hope is that you do find that this challenges you and you do increase your self-care, your self-love, and really value yourself. But my wish for you is that you have an absolutely wonderful week of well-being. Bye for now.